Hello and welcome to my first video. Given the worsening economic situation, the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, I've undertaken this as a project as an attempt to give my household an alternative to store-bought meat. This is part 1 of a series of videos documenting my experiences with raising backyard poultry. Prior to this, I've had absolutely no experience in keeping chickens, and I wanted to share what I've done with you and what I've learned along the way. Hope you enjoy it. We're going to talk location, and I've basically chosen the back corner of my yard in which there is a big tree. There's a lot of shade. I've located the coop there. Chickens don't really sweat, they lose heat through their combs, so I basically wanted to get an area of the yard for them in which there is a lot of shade, somewhere they could get out of the sun, because heat is a really big problem when you're keeping these birds. So as you could see, I've fenced off the area. It's roughly 10 by 20 feet. I've used 3-foot tall poultry wire. There's a very simple gate at the front of the space. Here's another view of the gate. It's a very simple frame that holds a section of poultry wire. There's no hinges, there's just a couple bars to keep it in place. And all you do is just lift it out of the way when you need to get in and out. When I designed the coop, I basically wanted something waist high so that I wouldn't have to bend when I was working it. I used a combination of recycled materials, old pieces of wood, scrap wood, pieces of wire, and I combined that with some pitch pine lats and some pressure treated lumber and some corrugated plastic roofing sheets, or plastic galvanized as we like to talk about it down here. You're seeing some black stuff at the corner at certain seams in the construction. That's basically some canned bitumen that I used. It's roughly 5 by 2 feet and it has 2 swing doors at the front of it. It's really not painted. All I did is just basically treated the entire thing with diesel, and every year I'll just paint it over again to just basically restore the treatment and the wood protection. Now that's the nest box on the back there, just covered, and this is another shot of the roof, the back of the coop. It's sealed around with this mesh wiring to prevent any predators from getting in, and this is the ramp. It's just basically a long piece of wood, roughly 6 feet in length. I didn't really put any steps except to the top of it. It just has a long piece of wire and the birds get traction as they go up and down the ramp itself. As you can see here, this is one of the birds using the ramp, so it actually works pretty well for them. And this is basically the door to the coop. Just a couple hinges, a piece of scrap wood. And this is the front view of the coop here, showing you the swing doors, a couple of latches there to keep it open. As the pressure treated wood, it's held together, the entire thing is held together by drywall screws. And that's just the interior. We put some poultry wire on the top to keep anything from coming down to the roof to get to the birds. The doors swing out, and I have a nail there basically to keep the door open, so you see it just swings into place there, a headless nail. You will see that the coop has beach sand in it. If you look at the interior of the coop, it's basically a layer of beach sand, roughly 2 to 3 inches deep, and that's on top a lining of construction plastic. There's a bit of wire towards the entrance of the coop, so the birds don't really scatter the sand out of the coop as they get out of the coop area. There are a couple of PVC boards That's basically to, act as a windbreak, or if any driving rain decides to blow into the coop, keep them dry. And that's the interior of the coop there. As you can see, we have one nest box, and it just basically has a couple fake eggs in there, a fake Easter egg, another plastic egg, and some shredded pieces of paper in it. There's a thin piece of galvanized sheet on the top. These are PVC feeders that I use when I'm dispensing the feed to my birds. You see the tube on the right has oyster shells. Use that as a supplement to their regular pellet and mash that I give them. This feeder on the left here has a rotating shutter to keep rodents out at night. I'm not using this at the moment, but as my flock grows, I hope to use it. There's a couple silos on either side. Those are the large PVC tubes, so as they eat from it, it will automatically dispense. I don't really need to go out and throw feed for my birds every day, but as the flock grows, I will use this one. But currently, I'm using this simple tube feeder here that's 3-inch PVC. You see a teardrop shaped hole, well, a couple of them actually. I'm putting in that laying mash at the top there. It was a bit difficult to film it one-handed, but that teardrop shaped hole is to accommodate the rooster. They have a big comb on the top of their heads, and as a result of that, he wasn't really eating well. He couldn't get his head into the holes that we put into the feeder, and he was losing a bit of weight. He was getting a bit lethargic, so I had to come up with something. So I just modified the existing holes in the feeder by making them teardrop shape, and that worked out really well. Ever so often, if I need to cut the grass in the back of the yard, I will have to keep the birds within the area of the run. So in doing so, I have this simple water bottle with a piece of agricultural twine, and I fill it with corn, and that acts like a bit of a distraction for them, or a toy if you want to call it that. And they peck at it like what you see they're doing there, and that just keeps them occupied because they usually have free range of the yard during the course of the day, and they get time to eat fruit whenever I'm home. I throw out some scraps for them, kitchen scraps, any leftovers, and they enjoy it very much. The nice thing is, once you have all the necessary infrastructure in place, you won't really have to worry about spending a lot of time taking care of them. This concludes part 1 of this backyard poultry project. Stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching.